Hello everybody, welcome back to Screen Stars. I'm here today to review the 1995 Clive Barker horror film Lord of Illusions. Now, if you follow my channel, or if you know my channel, you know that on occasion I do classic movie reviews. Movies that I think are classics, hence the title. Now, I'm always looking out for fresh ideas for classic movies, and after watching Hellraiser Judgment recently, reviewing that, I went back and looked over the Hellraiser movies, and then I looked at Clive Barker's career, and I saw this, Lord of Illusions, and I'm like, oh, I remember this film. I remember watching this quite a lot in the 90s and thinking it was pretty good. This is going to be my next classic movie review, I thought. So then I rewatched it. And unfortunately I realised soon after starting it was all slowly coming back to me. No, I don't really think I could put this in my classic movie review category, because I would be doing that title a disservice. It's not a classic movie, this, unfortunately. It hasn't aged well, and it wasn't anywhere near as good as I remembered it being, which is sometimes happens, you know. You watch films when you're younger and you watch them through rose-tinted spectacles sometimes, and then when you're a bit older and wiser, and you know, you rewatch them and you kind of think, oh, that wasn't very good, and this falls into that category. Now, that's not to say that I think it's a terrible movie. I just don't think it's brilliant or deserving of a title of classic movie, hence the new title, not a classic movie review. So for those that don't know, what is this movie about? Well, like I say, it's a Clive Barker film. And I think he's only directed 2, 3, 4 films, something like that. I think it's 3 or 4 films, and this was his second after Hellraiser, I believe. And it stars Scott Bakula, who I'm a big fan of. I really loved Quantum Leap, one of my favourite shows when it was on, and I think he's quite underrated. I thought he deserved to do a little bit more cinema work. Famke Janssen, who was just breaking into cinema at the time, I think she'd just done or was about to do GoldenEye. And Kevin J. O'Connor, who was well known in the 90s as an actor who was in things like The Mummy. Played sidekick roles quite a lot, comedy sidekick roles. And this film basically focuses on magic and illusions and dark powers and things like that. And the film opens up, there is a guy called a Puritan called Nix, who's got these magic powers, and he's using them for darkness, and he's got this cult following, and they're all bowing down to him and praying to him. And Kevin J. O'Connor's character turns up, who was obviously a student of his, and just realised that he's taken to doing evil things. He's kidnapped a girl. He turns up with a group of guys and a couple of ladies to take him out. They manage to succeed. He puts this mask on him to, like, you know, bury his evil underground and stuff, and then it moves on to 13 years later, and we then meet Scott Bakula's character, who is a private investigator in New York, who tends to focus on like paranormal type cases, things like that. Is quite sensitive to that sort of thing. He gets sent to Los Angeles on a case. He ends up getting entwined in this. Famke Janssen, who has married Kevin J. O'Connor, who was the girl who was abducted at the beginning, brings him on board for a case, and basically the Puritan Nix is coming back, and there's people working to bring him back to life. Kevin J. O'Connor is this famous magician now, fakes his death. Scott Bakula investigates. There's some strange dudes trying to kill everybody, and then ultimately leads to another showdown in the desert with the Puritan. And that's his story, really. It's not very good. It really isn't. The main problem with this movie is it's just not particularly scary, and the effects are really bad. I can't imagine even watching this at the time thinking the effects look good, but I must have done in the 90s. But the effects today, God, they're really bad. I mean, some of the prosthetics are okay. It's just not frightening. This film was a horror movie. it works. It works. Scott Bakula works in this movie. It feels more like a film noir at times with his investigation and stuff. That side of it works. The horror elements really, I don't think, work. Very little. You know, I think tying the horror to like magic and illusions and stuff is a clever idea, but I don't think the technology at the time was able to keep up with the ideas, and it ends up being a little bit of a jumbled mess. To be fair, I just find it strange sometimes that you can watch a movie when you're young and then rewatch it when you're older, and it just doesn't have any kind of impact on you anymore. And it's probably a good 15 years since I've seen this movie, so yeah, it ain't a classic movie, can't say that. It's not bad, I'll give it a 6 out of 10. And if you're a fan of Clive Barker and horror, it's certainly worth a watch if you've never seen it, I suppose. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys.